Welcome to the Dynasty Effect, where the legacy of the Clash of Dynasties docuseries doesn't end, but continues.
So let's get into it.
We dive deeper into the ripple effect this rivalry created across the wrestling world, from youth clubs to high school, NCAA powerhouses, the Olympics, professional wrestling, and beyond.
It's a great story.
We talk to coaches, athletes, and legends whose paths were shaped by these two dynasties.
It's a who's who. It's a list of NCAA champions, champion MMA fighters, coaches, decorated individuals, champions in life. I mean, it's all across the board.
And through candid conversations and the behind-the-scenes stories, we examine how they continue to influence the sport today.
This is a podcast that puts it all together, you know?
This is the Dynasty Effect.
Welcome to the Dynasty Effect, another episode. I'm Ben Hada, your executive producer and director of Clash of Dynasties, and with me is fellow producer and wrestler from Walsh Jesuit, Frank Favaro. Frank, how you doing?
Ben, good brother. How are you?
Good. Aaron's absent this week, but we've got a episode that's chock full, so he will be missed, but I don't even know if we have enough room for him today. It's so slammed, as you'd say.
It is. It's loaded. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Today we're bringing on a fellow cast member from the docuseries and one of my old teammates, Slam and Sammy Neider. Sam was one of the upper weight veteran leaders of the St. Edward Eagles wrestling team. He started on the varsity gold team as a sophomore, placed third, won a national team title that year in '92, and then went on to win 2 state titles, a senior high school national title, before going on to Northwestern, where he was a team captain and racked up 2 NCAA All-Americans. He journeyed into business short after graduation with a BA and a master's degree in project management and construction management, and his life has been nothing but a journey and adventures since. We wanted to bring him on today because he just launched a brand new project called The Room. It's exclusively for wrestlers. And Frank, full disclosure, you're a founding member of this project as well, correct?
I am. Yeah.
So how's it like? I mean, 30 years ago, did you ever think that you'd be working not only with one St. Edward wrestler, but 2 and in multiple capacities that you're actually doing right now?
Not in my wildest dreams. But it's so cool, because this sport brings people together, and that's what it's about, right? And super grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what the Dynasty Effect is about, and how the ripple effect is, just not only with the 2 of us, but has gone out across the country, but is, a ripple effect always comes back to. And so it's bringing guys like us together through, many adventures. And, well, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's please welcome to the podcast, to the Dynasty Effect, Slam and Sammy Neider.
You're looking at Sam Neider from St. Ed.
Sam Neider.
Very serious Sam Neider. Many people here say Neider's the best upperweight prospect in the country.
Oh, what a power move.
Defending state champ, an undefeated record, and a brilliant student.
When you are focused primarily on winning, you lose the ability to grow.
Neider does everything with such authority.
Oh, my.
That's pretty much going to do it now. Neider, champion Sam Neider.
St. Edward, Sam Neider.
Sam's got to be one of the best of all time, right?
That's right.
Sam, how are you, sir? Welcome.
Nice. I love it, Ben. That's some good, man. It's great to have a highlight reel guy running this show. I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you're well deserving. We wanted to bring you on. We couldn't have put a highlight reel together if you didn't have highlights. You had many highlights, but let's talk about too, like we were just talking about it earlier behind your back, about how crazy it is that when all of us are together, at this moment in time, doing what we're doing, working together in multiple capacities, brought together by the Clash of Dynasties docuseries. How does that make you feel?
It's incredible, Ben. I got to give huge hats off to you, man. You really, really created something special here, and not only like professional level, like elite professional level documentary docuseries, but you created something really special for all of us that were involved, because to come back to this 30 years later, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? All of it it's done so much for me. It's done so much in me, and I'll talk about that on this show. And it's done things like connect me to a guy like Frank Favaro. I mean, we would never have crossed paths, Frank, if it wasn't for us going and meeting up at that Beat the Streets event, knowing you were part of the producing cast here, and what you guys have done together. So Ben, like, seriously, you this is very, very meaningful what you've produced. It's very meaningful. And I think there is a ripple effect. And it's not just, we want the documentary to be successful. Like we want millions of people to buy this thing, and millions of people should, because it's a story we're seeing. But what you've done personally in the lives, like in my life and in the guys that I'm connecting to, and in the journey that I've taken since then, and even what I'm doing now, man, it's meaningful. It's very meaningful. So thank you, brother. Truly.
No, I thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the series. We had a lot of fun, putting it together, watching it. The premieres were a lot of fun. But I think the biggest thing is that what we're doing with the podcast too is that we're showing how far out it reaches, beyond the boundaries of our two high schools, beyond the boundaries of the state of Ohio. And how it still affects us, people today, and how those lessons carry forward and sometimes repeat themselves, and, how everything's sort of a cycle, and, bringing someone on like you, especially now with what you're doing, and we'll get to that in a little bit too, about the whole fact of just bringing wrestlers together, no matter where they're from, right? Because we all share a common bond. But talking about high school and just a little backstory, that if you didn't, catch that in Sam's intro, Sam's early journey, when he was at St. Ed's wrestling, he was surrounded by outstanding wrestlers, that were part of his journey, from Rick Hepp to Roger Chandler to John Heffernan, and then eventually Zach Thompson, successful, high school wrestlers, successful college athletes, successful businessmen, salesmen, lawyers, coaches, that are still doing that today. How did that, have that foundation so early on affect, what you're doing now, your life today, and sort of your path at that point?
It taught me something, and I think Frank can speak to this as well. I know you can, Ben, because we were in the same rooms, but it taught me something about success in life, and I didn't key in on it until later. It taught me that when you are surrounded by people ahead of you who are willing to help you get better, and when you are willing to help other people get better, you are going to be successful. It taught me that. And it wasn't like I didn't fully understand that and grasp that until about 20 years later, because I carried the myth of wrestling is that it's an individual sport. Like I carried that myth into my adult life. It's not an individual sport. Yes, we competed out there individually, and that accounted for like 1% of our time in that experience. The other 99%, the other part of that iceberg, is in a room with teammates, with coaches, working together to get better. And so there's no way I would have accomplished anything near what I accomplished without being in that room. There's no way. From the guys I was wrestling with, Rick Hepp, a senior who became a state champ and junior national champ that year, then went on to become a 3-time All-American. The dude took me under his wing, a freshman. And he did that because I was lifting with Steph Terabenic and his dad, Big Joe. I lived like 5 blocks away from them. So they got me over in 8th grade to lift, and Rick was over there lifting. Because I later asked him the story. I was like, Rick, why would you have done this? I was sitting with Rick at a match last Saturday. Like we're still connected, right? But he's just like, I liked you and I wanted to help you. And he did. And Roger Chandler did the same thing for a couple years. In fact, Roger and Josh Demakia got in a fight over who was going to be able to drill with me the next year. I mean, it's incredible. Like there's no way, right? And then you have coaches like Coach Urbis, who's just this unbelievable servant leader. I don't know that I know a man who is more of a servant leader than he is. The level of humility that he has, the level of inspiration. Ben, you remember he would pull out the edge that Ferguson put together, right? And he would read that before every practice. And after every practice, he would be instilling things in us. He'd be speaking positive things. Money in the bank. Today's money in the bank, right? The steel's got to get harder by going through the fire. You know, like it just all these things that he put into us. And then Hef, man, are you kidding me? John Heffernan, that dude, state champ, All-American from Iowa, came back. Like we were when Ferg died, right? That was when Ben, were in 8th grade, I believe. I think it was the beginning of our 8th grade year. Okay.
Yeah, my brother. Yeah, 8th grade. My brother's freshman year.
So literally a year later, so that was in October that year, right at the beginning of that season. A year later, you and I are in that program, right? And the level of instability that I'm putting myself back there, the level of instability that was happening at that time. You have this dynasty, St. Ed's wrestling, and then you lose the leader who built it, right? And I don't know that they had a strong, evident pipeline coming in, because I was going to go to Ignatius, all right? And I don't know, Eddie. I don't know whether Eddie Jane was on the fence or not, right? And you and your brother were coming. Your brother came in, so they had a good shot at getting you. But anyway, it was unstable. So you got Hef and Joe Silvestro coming back. I'm looking back, like they're coming back in to make sure that this program doesn't fall apart, like literally. So I had Hef drilling with me and wrestling with me every day, man. By the time I was a sophomore, junior, senior, right? He wasn't there freshman year. He came sophomore year. Are you kidding me? Come on. There's no way that we would have been able to accomplish, that I would have been able to accomplish, or anybody, without what the guys in that room did for us. Total team sport, all about the guys that were ahead of me, and then the guys I was helping, like Zach Thompson. All about the coaches, their sacrifice, their dedication. I love those guys, man. I love them, and I owe them so much. So yeah, man, that's huge lessons. Huge lessons.
You were a pivotal person in the docuseries, right? You know, you were one of the main characters because you were there for so many of those battles, and almost every dual meet ended up coming down to somewhere around your weight class, whether you were part of it or not. You know, sometimes, you know, the lead was already, you know, in hand, but many times you had to perform, you know, under that pressure. What was that like, being a high school kid, you know, 16, 15, 16, 17 years old in that environment? You know, I think about it today, and I don't see a lot of those. It's starting to come back in the high school dual meets, you know, and they're starting to have those bigger battles, and Flo's covering them very well with our buddy Shane Sparks. But what was that like for you, you know, having a lot of the time the dual meet come down and rest upon your shoulders?
It was intense. I think there was a part of me that enjoyed that. I mean, I think a lot of athletes envision that kind of moment, right, where they're the pivotal, you know, match, or, you know, if it's in football, they're the guy scoring the touchdown or the field goal or whatever it is. But, you know, it was intense. I mean, it was intense. And we knew, like, so my sophomore year, right, our sophomore year, Ben, we won it that year. And I don't know if we were slated to win it or not, but we won it. And we were not only state champs, I think we were slated as national champs that year. I cannot remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben. Our sophomore year was St. Ed's considered the national champ team. Okay.
Yeah.
So then our junior year, like Walsh was strong, man. Like we lost a lot of good, like Hep, and then Hep was our freshman year. Roger, Terabenic, several other guys, like really strong guys, were done, right, by the time we were juniors. And Walsh was like on the rise. They had Musser and Johnson and, you know, just some strong Plows, all these studs coming up, and they were kind of peaking as we were hitting I would say a questionable period, right? We knew they were coming after us. And so these matches were intense, man. And no doubt. I mean, the 93 match, it was intense. I felt, you asked how I felt. I mean, I welcomed it. I was grateful to be in that position. And yeah, it was like walking out there. There's a lot of nerves. There's a lot of nerves, both years, 93 and 94, especially in our duels.
So when you think about that pressure, did you have any doubt whatsoever as you were walking out there for any of those matches, as you were walking out there being like, oh, like this wasn't what I expected, or, oh, this was a curveball, or was there anything anything in your head that was maybe you were questioning?
I was not. And you're talking about the duel that we wrestled with you guys in 93 and then 94. So I wrestled Damon Williams in 93, and in 94 I wrestled Joey O'Neill. And in both those matches, so Williams, I didn't know until probably 5 to 10 minutes before the match that I was going to bump up, right? I weighed in at 171. Sean Rook also weighed in at 171. I knew the 71 pounder at Walsh was like, there was going to be no issue wrestling that guy. I don't remember what his name was, but I was certainly expecting to beat him and pin him and that kind of thing. But I didn't know how the points, I didn't know what the coaches intended until the last minute. I did know, I think the plan was that if we were losing and there was no way we were going to be able to win the match, then I would wrestle 71 and they'd bump up Sean to 89. But if there was a possibility that we could win the match, I think that was their game plan. Then they would bump me up. So 20 minutes before, I got the nods, like you're going 89. And no, I didn't have any doubts. I was like, Demakia, I wrestled Demakia every day the year before, right? And Demakia went toe to toe with Damon Williams. He beat Damon a number of times. I think Damon may have beat him once or twice as well. But I know there was no doubt that I could beat him. I wasn't thinking about, the weight advantage as I do looking back at that match. That's a pretty significant, 18 pounds at that weight there's a pretty significant bump, but no, I had no doubt whatsoever. But for sure, the nerves were, the room was packed. It went at both dual meets. It was standing room only. It was, so yeah. And I knew a lot was on the line. We hadn't lost a dual meet in like 15 years. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I guess this is coming down to me, So yeah, there were definitely some nerves, no doubt though.
And what was sort of your takeaway from that weekend when we had the premieres? I'm sure that, when you think back to those years, it's a very pivotal time in your life. Actually, you mentioned something to me after that match that, Brian Heffernan had said to you that, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I lost the match. Obviously, if you saw the documentary, you know that it was painful, and I didn't realize how painful it was until you were doing this documentary. Because then it was done and behind me, and I didn't really think about it. I had enough pain in college to remember, let alone to go back to high school. And so when it surfaced and we were doing it, I was like, oh man, I'm feeling this again. Like, I don't like how I'm feeling about losing that match. Like all of the regrets, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. It was not a pleasant thing to relive. And so, the whole thing brought it to the surface, and seeing Damon. So I knew we were going to see him right at the premieres. And Ben, you had asked some of us to do some videos and stuff like that. So I went on and did kind of a funny video on Facebook to promote the premieres. And I was like, Damon, I'm coming for you again. You might've beat me then, or I don't remember what I said, but I was just having a little bit of fun with it. But listen, man, even now I keep checking inside, like, how do I feel about that match? How do I feel about that match? So, it's not, wrestling is tough, man. Like there's a lot of things we remember that live in our mind and our heart and our body from this sport,
It's funny you mentioned that. I have that premiere video that you have mentioned. Let's take a look at that right now.
I'm Neider here, 1994, St. Ed's. I'll tell you why you should go watch the Clash of Dynasties premieres. 1993, Walsh Jesuit, Damon Williams, 189. I lost that match. That caused St. Ed's to lose their first wrestling match in 14 years. This whole thing, like this Clash of Dynasties, it might be nice sitting on the other side of some of these clips. But for me, not so nice. Damon, if I see you at the Clash of Dynasties premiere, you better have your fucking singlet. I want a rematch, brother.
That's hilarious. And it's funny because, of course, this wouldn't be the Dynasty Effect podcast without Ben Hada running the show if we didn't have any other special guests. So right now we'd actually like to bring on to the pod our one and only 1993 national champ, 189-pounder, Damon Williams.
Williams, guard age 7. It's you guessed it, North Akron Wrestling Club. Outside linebacker on the football team. His personal hero is Lawrence Taylor. Unnecessary roughness on Williams. Hands to the face there.
Welcome, Damon, not Damien, everyone. It's some of those mispronunciations that our man Mike Massa used to do. But welcome to the podcast. How are you, sir?
Great to see you guys. Hada, Frank, Sammy. Two men on the map that night. I just want to make sure we get the whole story, buddy.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Good to see you
for joining us. Talk to us now that we have you both on. And, Sam, you threw out that gauntlet before the premieres, and you actually did run into each other. You saw each other, and, let's rewind it back a little bit and go to that moment that you guys talked about. What was it like for you, Damon? You were the older one. You were the 189-pounder. Sam, you were the younger one. You were bumping up a weight. This was a pivotal match. What was your mindset going into that, Damon, that maybe wasn't reflected in the docuseries?
Yeah, I think, the first thing is I never expected to see Sam on the mat that night. And that blindness, honestly, was a little bit typical of the younger me, which was, almost like I missed that version, but almost a complete disregard for whoever was going to be on the mat. And a complete confidence that I had done the work and was ready when I stepped out there to beat whoever that was. And so, there was no, game planning and thinking back at it now, older, more mature. I knew we were good at the light and the middle weights. We were probably going to have a lead. Makes sense what they did, but I was completely blind to it. And so when the move happened, my first thought, I think I've said to you, maybe Hada a couple times, like I was more upset and felt disrespected than anything else, which was a defense mechanism to get me ready to go out on the mat. I didn't show up, nor at any point in that week that I think I was going to be facing Sam. Didn't enter at all. So probably healthier that way.
Now going into that, what was it like for you, Sam, knowing that, this match hinged sort of on your shoulders, for St. Ed's sort of dynasty, was in your lap?
Yeah, it was a good bit of pressure for sure. Good bit of pressure. And I was watching Damon, the highlight reel, man. Hell, you had that roll down to a T, man. How many guys in that highlight reel did you kick over and roll? I wasn't in the highlight reel, but you definitely used that on me. That was a beautiful thing. If we would have studied you at all, I would have known. Keep the hips down. This man is going to roll you.
Yeah, that's a lot of not being good at wrestling in your youth and being put in uncomfortable positions over and over. You learn how to get out of them.
I love it.
Damon had that pressure on the Walsh side as well, though. Sam had it on the St. Ed side, but all the weight of the world was on Damon as well because we had never beat you guys.
Yeah.
Right. So Damon was feeling that same, hey, it's on me.
Yeah. I think the reality is doing anything for the first time is hard. Doing anything that hasn't been done in a long time is hard. You watch that match, I think, both of us were gassed, and I think that was a little bit of gassed emotionally, having sat there and watched, 9 or 10 matches with the roller coaster of emotions that you had throughout that bout with wins, losses, pins, and everything in between, maybe a fight in the stands at one point as well. So, it was a roller coaster. I chuckle. I mean, I think that match I look back at, it was kind of disastrous in terms of stylistically for me. I gave up inside control the entire time. I didn't really do anything that I knew I could have done. So it was just it was a wild emotional night all the way around.
And so let's just now that we're on that subject, we can jump into that match and look at a couple of the highlights that I put together. And have you guys sort of.
You are wonderful. This is what happens when you bring the editor as the lead pod. Do you know when you did Shane Sparks? When you did Shane Sparks, the man was in tears. Did you see him after you made him watch that loss?
That loss had a very profound effect on the rest of his life, which drove him to greatness. So
did you see the tears that were in his eyes after you showed him that match on this podcast?
Those were tears of joy. And that's as long as there's emotion, that's all we're looking for, man. We're looking for emotion. We're looking for storytelling.
All right, bring it. Let's do it.
All right, let me add Damon to the stage.
Damon Williams, the senior from Walsh, will go against Sam Neider, the junior from St. Ed.
This is a big one, Mike. This is it.
Sure is.
The heavyweight's almost sure to go Ed's way with a fall, so Williams wins and Walsh wins. Neider wins and Ed's probably wins. Yeah, but Williams is not a particularly enormous 89er.
Well, you're right. He doesn't look that big, does he?
Brakeman always has a little shade for you. It's good.
And no takedown. Lot of action for the big guys, huh? I'll tell you, they move around like 103-pounders.
No, they don't.
The fans are getting into this, aren't they?
Well, everybody kind of thought after 160 was over, but the switch by Greg Urbis made a big difference.
Maybe I wish we had heart monitors on, buddy.
Yeah.
I think you're starting to pump.
He's been the more aggressive of the two here in the first period.
30 seconds remaining, that's all. Out of bounds.
Well, here's the move.
There it is.
You know what the thing is, too, Sam, is that move was so good that the play-by-play announcers in that day watched it back in slow motion.
Did they? Yeah. Yeah, that was costly. I mean, the level of energy. I mean, you had that in deep. Like, I'm looking at that. Yeah, that was deep. I'm surprised I got out. That was a tremendous amount of energy expended to get out of that. That could have been over right there.
You guys are moving fast, though, for some big dudes, right?
Sam, what are you thinking here? I got a score right away.
I don't know what's the score at this point.
4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I was thinking. I knew I just had to keep going. I knew I had to keep shooting. Okay, 5-0.
I'm sorry, 5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. So I knew I needed to take him down. All right, got one there.
5-2 now. This is where, you start to work your way back.
Yeah.
Final 2 minutes of this 189-pound class.
So 5-3.
Neider escapes. That makes it 6-3.
5-3. Maybe it was 6-3 because you kicked him out.
bad shot, but
Good result.
Okay.
Green
This
guy.
is where you start to
5'5".
think.
So this is
6'5".
6'5".
6'5".
This is the one that bothers you, Sam. I know this because I think there's a reversal in here. If I remember right, I was just trying to get my hips out away from you.
Yeah. I think they were telling me to kick him, but I can't remember that. So what is it now? Like
8'5".
Yeah, he was telling me to let him go. I don't know how I got that high on there, but 8'5". Oh, there it is. That was nice. What was that?
Little chin whip.
That's a little old man setup there.
That was it. I mean, so that was the turning. The reversal was the turning point. If I would have kicked him, it would have been a different match. But that reversal and then whatever that was that you did to me, that sealed the deal.
40 seconds.
There we go.
You got to know that. Yeah.
At this point,
It didn't matter. Yeah.
10-7. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Should have let him go again right here. I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, not going to turn him at this point, but yeah, that was it. 2 rolls, brother. 2 rolls. Did the deal.
Now, as this is happening too, what are you thinking, Damon? You got 12 seconds left. That reset.
Grab a leg.
Grab a leg.
We've all done this a
Grab a
1,000
leg.
times. Grab a leg. Ride
You're
this
not
one
stalling
out.
if you're in there, right? Yeah.
Takedowns are still 2 points. We're safe. So, I mean, honestly, I'm trying to breathe. I think, at some point you're thankful for the moment, but really just trying to get through, and it doesn't really hit me until I come back walking, and you start to realize what's changed on the map. So. And as I said to Sam at the premiere, I mean, we all have these matches. We all have these people. We all have these 10-second decisions that we chose a path, and we look back and wonder what that path would be if we chose the other path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality of life. But it's just one of those things that I think any athlete, any person, it bites at you and gnaws at you a little bit.
Yeah, it's incredible. The sport. I don't know that, and I didn't compete in any other sport really. I played football for a year, soccer a little bit, but I just can't imagine that there's a sport. Imagine that there's a sport where the regret and the gnawing is any worse than in wrestling, right? Because it's just you out there, 1 split-second decision. It was instinctual. I mean, nothing. I don't even remember. Like Urbis and Heffernan could have been yelling at the top of their lungs, kick him out. I didn't hear anything. Except like the pounding of my heartbeat. I was so tired. I was so exhausted. And it's just like you're trying to hold on. And I don't know what I was thinking in that moment, but you look back and it's like, man, really, really lots of regrets. But the beauty of it, and I was telling Ben before you came on, Damon, like the beauty of this premiere and the Clash of Dynasties was it's really surfaced a lot of stuff that I didn't realize I was still carrying. Like, I think there are so many guys in the sport of wrestling who are carrying regret and or shame, like those 2 things. For their regret is like, man, I woulda, shoulda, coulda, wished it was different. Shame is like you got beat, humiliated, beat up on. Like I have some shame from college that I've been talking about on the socials because I got my ass kicked by a couple of national champions from Minnesota and Iowa over and over and over again, right? And it's just like, but man, this sport. So I'm actually grateful. Like I listen, I'm not having those bad feelings in my stomach anymore watching that match. See what happens when you actually start to bring it into the light and you review it with a mature lens, like you're talking about, Damon. It's like, okay, all right, I'm a kid. I'm a 17-year-old kid, right? I was in a moment. I made some decisions. That's the beauty of the sport. Everything just unfolds very quickly. It would be a different timeline, but I'm so grateful. Listen, I'm glad you won that match, man. That's freaking awesome. That must have been an incredible experience for you. I would love to hear like how you felt after that match and going forward, having like literally turned the tide on a dynasty at that point.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is the weird thing. I've heard you talk about this before, and I don't remember if it was on maybe one of the long interviews or something else, but the idea of grinding, I mean, that time period of my life, and honestly, almost all the time since is been on the grind. And when you're wrestling and you're grinding and you're worried that somebody's working harder, and so you're working harder, you're really not finding joy.
Yeah.
And you're not finding those moments of like, oh my, I
Yeah.
did it, I accomplished it. And so I'll be very honest with all of you when I say it. I came out of that match that night, good job. And then we went back to work on Sunday morning with probably a spaghetti dinner at Walsh and a 5-mile run.
Dude,
so on to the next.
That is on point right there, because that's my experience. That's my message about the sport right now. Okay, there is so much focus and prioritization on winning that it robbed me of the joy and love for the sport. It robbed me of the experiences and soaking them in. And it was just a grind. Like by the time I did 6 more years of that to the end of my career, I hated wrestling. I hated it. It was a job, and it was a miserable freaking job. And I walked off the mat and I turned my back on the sport for like 20 years because there's so much programming around win, win, win. And I love that the documentary is all about that. It's all about who was winning, right? But at the end of the day, if that's the primary focus, and then you take a guy like me, who's a kind of what I call a fixed mindset guy. There's a lot of science on this, right? Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is outcome-based, winning. That's the goal. Well, you have a very different experience when you're in that mindset than you do when you're in growth mindset. In growth mindset, oh, I lost, no big deal. There's no such thing as failure. You're just getting better. You're competing against yourself. You're not competing against other people, and you're learning and you're growing and you're enjoying the process. It's process focused versus outcome focused. And man, take a guy like me who is 100% outcome focused and then put him in a realm where winning is the priority. And I'm hearing the same thing from you, Damon. It's a recipe for misery, man. That's not how we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to grind. Come on, man. That's not what life is about. That's not right. I mean, we're almost 50 years. You're 50 years old. I'm almost 50 years old. Is that really like meaningful in life? That for me, it's not. Like that's not what my life's about. I'm here to enjoy my family, my business, my relationships, my friendships, my home. All these things like are here to enjoy, but so locked into this grind mindset. And I'm hearing the same thing from you. So that's incredible. So you have the same vacuum of an experience even after a huge win like that.
No, yeah, definitely. I think the moment after the match, and it's a fleeting moment, but it's the payback. It's the payback for all of the attention and the focus and all of the help along the way that people gave you. And so you're happy to get to that pinnacle and get over it. And the payback is, it's the easiest way to say thanks and show gratitude. And now like getting far enough away from it, like for me, I can see the path. I mean, that night began with a 7-year-old kid walking into Patterson Park, my neighborhood club. I wasn't a wrestler that came 30 minutes to be in a room full of really good wrestlers. I was a kid that was going to the same park I played football in, and showing up with, Bill Barger and a bunch of other coaches and North Akron Wrestling Club's guys there. So, the benefit of having that luck of being in my neighborhood brought me to that moment. So I can see the long path, but a lot of what you're describing on the grind is honestly why I made the late decision to play football. At the end of my high school career, football for me was still fun.
Yeah.
And whether it was, what we're describing in terms of the grind, or whether it was the opportunity to, celebrate with teammates on the field, it's a little bit different than wrestling, or it's just a simple fact that, maybe I didn't want to put the work. It wasn't easier, but it was definitely more enjoyable to me.
Yes.
And that allowed me to make a different decision heading into college.
Yes.
Question for you both, and we'll start with Damon. While we got you here for a few more minutes, what did you think, or your memory of Sam and who he was, that effect in your life, that person in your life, 30 years going on until you actually saw him again at the premiere and spoke with him, and what was that thought of who he was versus who he is when you actually met him?
Yeah. Sam was a beast. I mean, the reality of Sam, and I think he got maybe a disqualification earlier in the year. I don't know if you lost, forgive me, lost another match that year. I don't think
you slammed a kid at St. Ignatius.
I was disqualified because an Ignatius kid took a dive because he didn't know how to roll. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, the funny part is people, like, I think Don Horning forgot who won the match, in one of the interviews that he was doing. The reality is I understand why. Sam was a beast. I'd never expected to have the opportunity to wrestle him. We did that night. There was a moment when I weighed in my senior year at state championship after being sick for about 4 weeks. I stepped on the scale at 176, and I'm like, I could probably be at 171. But it was one of those things where then I thought, well, wrestling Sam, it's, sectionals, districts, and states 3 weeks in a row. Those guys aren't fun to wrestle multiple times. They're not. They start taking things away, and it becomes problematic. So that's what I remember most, is just understanding, really what happened. But after watching the rest of his career, that junior year, and then coming back as a senior again and winning state. So, unbelievable wrestler. When we've met, I say, I've listened and I've watched, I like listening to Sam talk. I like your approach to life. I like how you're able to dissect and put things in simple language, whether we're talking about wrestling, we're talking about business, or we're just talking about personal growth. And so, it's fun to come back and have, a very, very small view of somebody as a 17-year-old kid, and then come back later in life and have the opportunity to really start to get to know people. And that's been one of the most beautiful things about Clash of Dynasties, is you bring these teams together. It's gotten our team, childhood friends from North Akron, as well as the guys that we competed against for all of those years, together in the same room, sharing a beer and telling stories, and comparing notes on what we all lived through. It's been great to do.
It's awesome. And I want to tack on, like, I put a post on Facebook, Damon, and you commented, I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but it was along these lines. Like, it's not about winning, it's about growing. And you put a post on, or a comment on, about self-mastery and the path of growth through self-mastery. And it was just like, man, this guy's speaking my language. And I knew that, having met you at the premiere. We had a brief conversation before and after. But I knew, like, you're a mindset guy, and it's really cool to see that, because my impression of Damon was similar. Like, just, he's a wrestler, he's focused, he's a football guy, he's a jock, he's whatever, but you don't understand until you meet somebody in a more mature state who they are, right? Who they are at their core. And I think what's beautiful about this is the connections that we've made through Clash. I'm finding the guys like me. Not every wrestler is created equal. Let's be honest, okay? Right? There are a lot of wrestlers that are they're not going to necessarily vibe with this conversation, but there are a lot of guys, and what the Clash is doing, there are a lot of guys out there who are growth mindset, and there are a lot of guys who have taken that into their life, and they've used the foundation of wrestling to help them, but they've also evolved. And Damon, you're one of those guys. Like, I read that comment, it was like, all right. I love that picture. Beautiful. Yeah, but you're one of those guys, man. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to get to know you in this context, right? Because this is what it's all about. It's about guys like us who are like-minded, who are actually coming together and really have this kind of similar shared experience and mindset. So beautiful to get to know you again, brother.
Yep, agreed. Gentlemen, thank you for the time today.
Thank you for coming on, Damon. It was great to see you again, and thank you for participating in the Dynasty Effect and the Clash of Dynasties.
Absolutely. Go Warriors.
All the best. Take care.
See you, man.
All right, Sam. It was great. Little throwback. Sorry we didn't throw you off too much.
No, Ben, I knew you had something up your sleeve.
I've always got something up my sleeve. But like you said too, and Frank, you can jump in, about sort of the Walsh side, and you and I working together to tell this. But one of our things is that breaking down those barriers, hearing those other sides of the story, knowing more about who you so and so called your enemy, right? And I think Bill's brother likened it to a band of brothers. We had been through an experience together on opposite sides, but yet we had still gone through that same experience together. And so when you come through the other side, whether you're one of the good guys or the bad guys, you have that respect for the other, on just for what you've gone through. So I'm glad that I could be the conduit to you and Damon and ripping open some wounds and then putting a Band-Aid on it and hopefully,
they've aired out. They've healed up, man. It's beautiful.
Well, talking about that too, because you did have the, going back to the docuseries, in the next episode and in the next year, you had a chance to sort of avenge yourself against, Walsh in their dual meet. And, that was it. It didn't hinge on you necessarily, but, you passed the torch down to Zach Thompson at that point.
Yeah.
But you posted that match, and I'll throw that up, the shot that you posted about that feeling of winning. And you threw that up on your socials, that moment of glee and excitement. But you also put the stamp danger on there. And I think you touched on it a little bit with Damon about, what is sort of that winning mindset, fixed mindset? What is your beliefs on, what that moment meant to you and sort of why did you post that, in this manner?
Yeah.
To explain a point.
I think a similar kind of feeling that Damon expressed. Like in the moment, it was really cool. That match in '94, I was wrestling Joey O'Neill, and he's tough. Like I'd beaten him a couple weeks before, pretty soundly. But I think he took me down. He was ahead in that match, and I did the same thing Damon did to me. He was in on a double, and I rolled him and ended up pinning him. And I knew in that we would not have had a shot to win that match. I don't believe we would have had a shot to win the match without a pin. Like it was not just about it was that match put us back in the hunt to be able to beat him that year. And so it was exciting in that moment, but man, it's the same story. It's like the focus on winning. Look, I have a tendency to overgeneralize, right? So I look at the sport of wrestling, and I do think, and Frank and I have had discussions about this in the room, like there is an overemphasis on winning. There's an overemphasis on winning in our culture across the board. There's an overemphasis on winning in Western culture. There's an overemphasis on winning in all of sports. It's all about the winners. The losers are getting fired, and the winners are, idolized and held up. And so there is that environment. But for me, there was some wiring. I mean, I was wired out of the gates as a young boy to look at and have a growth mindset, to look at achieving outcomes, because I thought outcomes would do things for me. They would validate me. They would cause me to feel worth and loved and all those kind of things that as I've gone through my adult life and I reflect, like I've had to rewire myself. I had a growth mindset when I came out of the womb. I early on developed a fixed mindset where it was outcome-based and not process-based, and it hurt me big time. And then probably by the time I was in my late 30s, early 40s, I've gone through a process of rewiring my brain to get back to growth mindset. And I can tell you, man, like it is the best thing in the world. It sucks to be in a fixed mindset. It sucks to be focused on an outcome. It sucks to be focused on winning. It sucked. That match was a fleeting blip on the radar. We lost that match. It was not pleasant. I mean, Heffernan, I've never seen him like that. He was very upset after that match that we lost. He was very upset at Zach. I love John as a coach. I think that hurt Zach. I really do. I think it hurt Zach that he felt the weight on him, and then he felt he failed, right? I didn't necessarily feel like I failed. I don't know in the previous match, but it hurt. Like you don't want to lose. So that when we overemphasize the winning, it's a problem. That's why I put danger on that photo. It's like, hey, great to win, love to win. Winning is a nice result, but you better be careful what you're focused on, especially when you're coaching young athletes or when you are a father. Like you if you instill that, Frank, you've got your son's wrestling now, right? And we've had a discussion about you and the process you've gone through as a father to remove any pressure on outcomes and let your son, like I'd like to hear a little bit from you, Frank, about what you've done with your son to make sure that he doesn't get caught in that trap, because it becomes pretty miserable then. Share a little bit of what you shared with me about your journey with your son in the sport.
We only know our own experiences, right? So for me, with my son, coming up through Walsh, we mirrored St. Ed's. I mean, we had the playbook
yeah,
that you guys had, right? So what do you think our focus was? It was winning as well.
Beating us.
Right? It was beating you. And you only know what you know, and that was, you think your way is the way. And my son was last year, he went and tried out for the basketball team because he had been pushed so far away from enjoying the sport of wrestling. Because what did I do? I did what I knew, which was, to your point, being in a fixed mindset where the emphasis, maybe you don't say it's necessarily the emphasis isn't winning, but it isn't what you say, it's what you do.
That's right.
It's how you act. It's how you react. It's how you encourage. It's how you support. So for me, like, it was a wake up call. It was, because my son's not the problem, I'm the problem. Mm-hmm. And it was an epiphany that allowed me to change in the moment. And now he's coming home every single day. He continued wrestling because he went to the basketball tryout and he didn't have a physical, and they wouldn't let him practice that day, and he needed a physical in 24 hours. So he wasn't able to get the physical. He wrestled. He had a great year. He ended up falling in love with the sport on his terms because I changed the focus to have fun, work hard, have a great attitude. Those are the measuring sticks. That's the goalpost now. It's not winning. And everything has changed. So I think it reinforces everything you speak to.
Absolutely, brother. And I love that story. My son he wrestled for about a year, and then it wasn't the sport for him. And man, it's this kind of wisdom is needed out there right now. Like things are changing. I think Cael Sanderson is really, to me, the dichotomy, and this is so interesting, because where did the St. Ed's program come from? What did Ferg model it after? He modeled it after Iowa and Gable. And so Walsh indirectly is modeled after the Iowa program, right? And no matter what you say, like, Iowa was 100% and still is very much prioritizes winning. It's a fixed mindset. And for good or ill, like, Gable's an icon. He's a legend. What he's done is incredible. But the guy is driven by some hardcore demons with his history when he was a kid and his sister, and then his loss, that last loss, like, man, that had to Larry Owens, that had to, like, just eat him up, and he drove himself further. He, like, broke the 4-minute mile for wrestling. No one did what he did, and he changed the thing. But he's very much focused on winning. And if you listen to Tom Brands, I got Iowa in my feed this year. What is he talking to his guys about? Winning a championship. Okay. That's very different. Listen to Cael Sanderson. Cael is evolving the sport. And this is, to me, what the message needs to be. Cael's talking about getting better, having fun, scoring points. Those are all process-focused things. And now who's got the dynasty? The winning is taking care of itself. Those guys are incredible. What Penn State is producing year after year after year is like, it's mind blowing. Those guys, they had 7 guys on the world team, man, this past summer, right? So it's incredible, but it's that slight thing. And this has become my message in the sport. Like, stop focusing on the winning. Stop. It ruins it. It ruined my experience in the sport. And I own that. Like, I own that. It was my mindset. I had a fixed mindset, but you take a fixed mindset propensity, a kid with fixed mindset propensity, and you put him in an environment where winning is the focus. It's no bueno.
Sam,
right?
let me then get to a quick sort of fact or fiction here then that sort of plays into what you're saying real quick. So, fact or fiction, the Iowa style of wrestling is outdated and no longer an effective winning strategy.
Man.
Fact or fiction?
So, listen, the fact that you put the Iowa style, listen, the Iowa style is the Iowa style, and you got to respect it. I respect it. The Iowa style beat the crap out of me over and over and over again. It is a relentless, hardcore, in-your-face, pounding style, okay? I don't have a problem with that style. Everybody has their style. So I would say, no, that's fiction. Like that style is it's a style, and it's effective. It is effective. It's the focus. It's the priority of winning, the focus on winning. That's what's outdated. And we are evolving. It took somebody better than Gable, at least in his quote record, an undefeated 4-time national champion, world champion, Olympic champion in Cael Sanderson. It took that guy to be able to take the sport to the next level. And I don't know how he did it, but that guy is all about growth. And what he's produced is incredible, and it's going to far surpass it. And I'll tell you this, I don't think Brands will ever beat Cael Sanderson. I do not think Tom Brands will ever beat. I don't think his teams will ever beat those guys. The guy you got to watch out for is David Taylor. That guy, he's coming for Cael because it's the same thing. He's got the growth mindset. He's an incredible guy, and it looks like he's an incredible coach, and his guys are having fun. They are loving the sport. And I wish I could go back, man. I have no idea who I could have become. Not even what I could have accomplished, but who I could have become as a human being if I would have had a growth mindset going through this sport. I have no idea. Like, I feel like I'm making up 25 years now, rewiring my brain into this growth mindset so that I can have the kind of life that I want to have. It's all about growing.
Well, let's talk about that too, because you're now in this new venture that Frank's a part of called The Room.
Yeah.
And, explain a little bit about that. We'll show sort of some of the pages as we go through, but talk to me about The Room. What is The Room?
Yeah. So The Room is a project. It's really what it is it's a brotherhood. At the beginning of this year, it's a brotherhood of former wrestlers. The purpose of The Room is wrestlers helping wrestlers get better at life. And the reason I created, I do a lot of coaching and consulting with business owners. I had kind of a break at the beginning of this year because my health was not good at the beginning of 2025. And for the first time, when I started to have a little bit of space to think about what do I want in my life, not just what do I have to do, what should I do to make money and provide for my family and all the things that we have as responsibilities as men and fathers and husbands. Like I said, what do I want? And one of the top things on my list was, I want community. I want brotherhood. I want friendships. Like, I want guys in my life that like I can do life with. And I want guys in my life that can help me get better. Okay. And guys that I can help get better. Right. And so, and I started to think, and I started to look back, and a lot of the guys I've coached in the last 10 years, business owners and whatnot, I realized that a disproportionate amount of them have been wrestlers, former wrestlers. I was like, well, wait a second. Why? It never dawned on me. And then I was like, well, wait a second. Why is that? Well, it's because who I am, a huge part of who I am is a wrestler, right? So when I had those two realizations, what do I want? I want community. I want brotherhood. I want to be around guys who are helping me get better. And I realized I'm a wrestler. Like a huge part of me is who I am as a wrestler. And those are the guys that I really want to be around. It's like, okay, I'm going to create a place where like-minded guys who've wrestled, because listen, man, no one gets wrestlers except wrestlers. We are a unique breed of men. We are in some ways a strange breed of men, but a very unique breed of men. Wrestlers, there's no one on the planet like another wrestler. So I was like, okay, I'm pulling together. It's not for everybody. It's not for every wrestler. I'm pulling together guys who want to be on a team again, who want their teammates, who realize that some of the best times of their life and the best moments of their life were when they were on a team in a room, and they're growth minded and they want to get better and they want to help other guys get better. Because I'm not like some guru. Like, I got areas where I'm good at, and I got areas where I need to get better. And so I want to be around guys that are ahead of me in certain areas of life, and I'm ahead of other guys in certain areas of life that I can help, just like Rick Hepp and Zach Thompson, like that we talked about earlier, right? So I pulled together a group of guys, a handful of Ed's guys, and we got Frank in there. I love it. And 7 guys helped me kind of get this off the ground as core founding members of the room. They came in, they helped me test it out. Right now it's a virtual platform where we come together, we share things with one another, we share insights on life. We have group coaching sessions and meetings, and we have kind of podcast style interviews that are only available in the room for guys to share their stories. And it's a really cool community. It's just getting started. And, the goal is that growth-minded guys will come together, and there's going to be a lot more to come. Eventually we'll have in-person kind of gatherings and conferences and training sessions and happy hours and meetups and all kinds of things. And we're just in there. We're in a room again. Like there's nothing perfect about it, but we're in a room again with guys like us who are growth-minded guys who are there with one purpose, and that's just helping one another get better. So Frank has been in there with me from the beginning. It's been beautiful to get to know him. Like the Clash, what connected us, right? But now, like we're in one another's lives. Like we know one another. Frank called me the other day. We have an hour conversation. He's driving back from a meeting, right? And we're talking about money. We're talking about business. We're talking about like, how do we take ourselves to another level as a man? We're talking about fatherhood. We're talking about like, this is what I wanted. So I created it very selfishly. I created it for myself, for what I wanted. I want to be around guys like this. And it's growing. There's probably 20 guys in there right now. Eventually there's going to be hundreds of guys in there. It's going to impact a lot of guys. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about how can I serve other guys and how can I receive from other guys, right? Because that's like that to me, that's the most fulfilling thing in life. How can I give? And then how can I also receive from that? And the room is where that's happening in a beautiful way. Frank, come on, tell what's your experience of it so far? I want to hear a little. That's my pitch. I don't want to just be the pitch guy. You tell these guys how it's been for you.
Yeah, the room has been great. To your point, it's a brotherhood, right? And we grow up in these rooms, and we've all wrestlers come from a room, and it's I think we lose sight of that over time, and we lose those relationships. Life happens, right? So why not get back together again with a group of like-minded individuals who want to grow, who want to improve, who probably have experienced some of the same challenges as yourself, right? And to your point, no one's better than anyone. There are people who are ahead of others, right? But it's not like, oh, he's better than me, right? And that's what I love about the room, right? Because we are all trying to become a better version of ourselves, as long as we have, to your point, a growth mindset. And we're green and growing, or we are ripe and rotting, and that's the room is for people who want to continue to grow. So I think it's great, man. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for putting it together.
Absolutely. It's been great. It's been awesome, and it's getting better and better. And Frank kicked me in the he kicked me in the butt on that same phone call. He's like, man, hey, we need a coaching session. Why isn't that on the calendar yet? I was like, okay, it's on. And I got it on there. All right. I got it on there that day. So it's beautiful. Like, this is it. This is what I mean is, like, guys, we were in a room, like, Ben, you remember, we were in it. We were in it together, and I've never had that again after I was 23 years old. Right. So it's like, this is guys who want to get in it again in life across all the areas. So anyway, and I don't mean to overly do it, but I'm passionate about it because I really believe in it, and I'm excited about what's happening in there.
I'm creating my own room. It's called the sauna, and it's going to be how long can you stay in there and try to get as many people in, just sweat it out as long as possible until you break.
Love it.
No, thank you, Sam. This is great. And what is the ultimate goal? Like, when you put together, I mean, you've been an entrepreneur of so many projects, so many other people's projects, and launched them, been successful, sold them. What is the ultimate goal as, we're getting up there and we're trying to leave, an imprint on the next generation, or at least help, carve a little bit of path that's a little bit easier or, successful for other people to follow. What is the ultimate goal of the wrestler's room, the room in general, like for you?
Yeah, for me, the goal is two things: service and prosperity. Like, I believe with all my heart that I am here. I'm not here just for myself. I'm here to serve my family, and then I'm here to serve my fellow man, and especially the fellow men who are like me. And so that to me is the realization that I'm a wrestler. That's a huge part. It's not all of who I am. It's a huge part of who I am. Brought my service into focus. Like, I'm here to serve these guys, this community, former wrestlers, number one. And I'm here to help guys be prosperous. Like, we have this incredible foundation that wrestling laid for us, right? It's an incredible foundation. Now, it needs to grow and it needs to evolve, because the same mindsets that we developed in wrestling, they don't necessarily apply in certain other areas. You have to evolve those mindsets. So, but to me, I'm here to help other guys become prosperous, literally prosperous in all the areas of their life, from their financial situation to their body, their family, and especially the relationships, right? Their relationships that are in their life. Like, wealth is so much more than money, but money is part of that. So service and prosperity, that's my goal with the room. That's my goal with the business coaching and consulting I do with business owners. That's my goal across the board. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help people grow. I'm here to help people prosper.
Now, the room, I was looking through some of the things, and to qualify, you've got to have wrestled at some point, whether in high school or college, but you've got to be out of college or a little bit on the older side. For those who can't join the room yet, what is your advice just to the young wrestler, the young athlete going through today, looking back, at what you went through 30 years ago, besides the fixed mindset of winning, what is another nugget of advice that you would give sort of the young athlete today?
It would be how to change the focus. If you are a fixed mindset, if you are looking at winning, you can shift that mindset. You can shift it back to growth mindset. How do you do that? You start looking at your life and you start focusing, especially in the sport, you start focusing on what can I do better today? And if you begin to shift your focus off of that, off of the winning, right? Ryan Bertine did this. Okay. Ryan Bertine, two-time national champ from Michigan. Okay. St. Ed's guy. He told me, we were talking, he said, look, I lost all the way up to my senior year. And what I realized my senior year was stop trying to win a state title. Okay. He fell short numerous times. And all he started doing was focusing on this week, what am I going to get better at? And today, what do I need to work on? Okay. And if you begin to do that, even if you've had your focus on winning, If you begin to just take your eyes off of that and put it onto today, right now, what do I need to work on? What can I get better today? What can I get better at this week? I believe that will shift your mind back to a growth mindset. And I believe you will do far better, far, far better in the long run with all the wins and all the championships than if you keep focusing on winning. And in the short term, what it's going to do is it's going to help you enjoy the sport again. It's going to help you start to fall back in love with things, because we have neuroplasticity, man. Just because you think one way now does not mean that you have to continue thinking that way. We can change the wiring in our brain. So that would be my wisdom to build on. How do you take and get back to growth mindset when you've begun and to go toward the fixed mindset stuff?
I also had a question too along those lines. Back in high school, in those days, or even in college, post-college, before you got to this sort of point in your life, you had your successes to fall back on for a confidence. You had the winning, sort of as, acceptance and reassurance. What are you falling back on today as for confidence and for reassurance that you're doing the right thing, you're successful in life? How are you measuring that success or wins now?
That is a great question. I will tell you, this year, I have never felt so much self-doubt as this year. And here's the thing. I don't know that here's the good news and the bad news. I don't know that all the past achievements in the world do that much for you right now if you're in a growth process, because the definition of being in a growth process is you are constantly stepping into the unknown. If you're growing, you are moving into the unknown. The known is what you've already done. The known is all the things you've already built. The known is all the things you can defend on. The known is where you're comfortable. But when we get called to grow, we get called to step into the unknown. And the unknown is scary, inherently scary. And it challenges you to go within yourself again and find what it is inside of you, the confidence that's inside of you, or the will to just keep going. Or I can't, since I decided to focus on the room, right? I've put it all on the line. Like, I put it all on the line financially. I put it all on the line with my family. I put it all on the line because I was focused on that. And I didn't have, a backlog of my coaching and consulting clients that are sitting there waiting for me, because it took me like 8 months to build this thing out, or 6 months, right? And it took me 4 months to figure it out that that's what I wanted to do. So it's all on the line. So now what's there is, oh my God, is this going to work? Oh my God, is it, you're just back into the unknown. So the thing I love about wrestling is it taught me not to back away from hard things like that. I just appreciate the sport over and over and over again for that, because it instilled that in me. But man, I don't know that there's any way to draw confidence anymore. It's the habit of just going into the unknown, stepping in with faith, right? Faith that you're going to figure it out. Faith that God is going to help you work through it. Faith that the universe is for you, not against you, right? And then you step in and you find out, wow, yeah, this is for real. And then confidence builds more. And then guess what? The next step of faith, you get called into the unknown again, and you got to do it all over again. That's what this growth mindset. It sounds good, but man, it's not an easy path, but it is the most rewarding by far, the most rewarding. So that's my thoughts on that matter. I'm not drawing on anything. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other in faith.
I love that. The idea of constant growth means constantly putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, situations you're not used to. It's so easy to get comfortable, right? So easy to stop here when you could maybe go here.
Yeah.
what's one thing that you would recommend to stay on the path of continuous growth, continuous improvement?
For me, it's just hunger to become more. Like I'm just not, I'm so grateful for my life and where it is right now. And I want more. I want higher things. I want better things. I want more beauty for myself and my family. I want more abundance in our life. I want more friendships and relationships, and I want more joy, and I want more enjoyment. I've been through a hard season of life the last 10 years with my family. Not going to go into that, but it's been hard. It's been challenging, right? And I want so much more for my family. I want so much more for myself. I have so much more to offer. There's so much more for me to become. It's like that when I talk about, man, who could I have been as a wrestler if I had growth mindset? Not what I could have won, but who could have I developed into? I feel that same way about my life right now. I'm being called, like I'm seeing this vision of myself and what I'm here for and what I'm here to do. And it's so meaningful and so purposeful. And that's what's calling me forward, because it's not like everything is good and I'm so grateful, but I want more. I'm hungry for more, and I'm hungry to become someone of a greater version of myself than I am today.
Along those lines of like finding joy, finding living, in the moment, what are some of the things that you're doing these days to find joy? Are you watching, television? Are you, watching reality television shows? Are you watching movies, reading books, listening to podcasts? What are some of the things that, are, flooding your brain right now with knowledge?
I'll tell you, definitely, I'm not a huge reader, but Frank has actually put 2 incredible books in my life. They're on my nightstand. One is called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And then another is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. The guy wrote it like 100 years ago, but man, I mean, powerful, powerful stuff. Like this is like principles of the universe type of stuff. So that's not so much fun. Like that's what I'm like, hey, I like prosperity, baby, prosperity. I want to be prosperous. I want everybody around me to be prosperous. So those things are in my life. What I really enjoy, like again, my family situation has taken up all the extra space in my life, right? But what I really enjoy is my alone time. I spend probably about at least 2 hours every morning in meditation and in exercise and in contemplation, in journaling and those kind of things. Man, it's my, like, it fills me up. When I don't have it, it's no bueno. When I do, it's just like, okay, this fills my cup, right? This fills my cup. So I don't know about fun. I'll tell you, I'm starting to have more fun with the guys in the room. Like a couple guys went to a match the other day. We're doing something at the NCAAs in Cleveland, man. There's going to be a gathering of the guys in the room at the national championships here in Cleveland. Like I want to do stuff like that. A couple weeks, Frank, we're going to do a hike down in Brecksville. All right, I'll put it out there on a Sunday morning. Like we'll just go do fun. Like this to me is fun. It's the connection with the guys. Like that's, again, created for selfish purposes, and I'm going to utilize it to the full. But that's kind of I'm not that fun, but that's the fun stuff in Sam Neider's world.
No, I mean, but that you're passionate about it. You're pouring it all into it. And I think that we talked about this on like a few podcasts about you do have to be sort of, short-sighted and all in,
Yes.
when you're trying to develop something and get it off the ground for the first time. So, right now it just seems like you're just filling your brain with as much as you can about, just knowledge for what can help the room itself. And yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a fun time in Cleveland with the NCAAs there and us all getting back together. It'll be another sort of mini reunion at the peak of wrestling season. So I'm excited about that. But anything else, Frank, before we let Sam go?
No, great interview with Sam. He drops a ton of knowledge, and thanks, Sam. It was awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and Sam, for those who want to know more about the room, you can find that at thewrestlersroom.com. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yep.
You can find out more information there. You can read.
Yeah, and hit me up directly. Just shoot me find me on Facebook or whatever. Send me a DM. I've been talking to so many guys about it because I am passionate about it, right? I want the growth mindset guys. I want them all in the room. Like, why not? There's so many good guys in the sport of wrestling, man. So many good guys, so many. So let's get together. let's put them all together and help one another. So yeah, I'm definitely passionate. So hit me up directly too. Happy to talk.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we mentioned too, just in the Clash of Dynasties. Is that you might look at each other as competition, but at the end of the day, you guys are going to be, partners in crime, right? And working together is much more fun than
absolutely. Brothers, not competitors. Brothers, not competitors.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. We had a great time catching up, and like I said before, it's interesting to have us on all sides versus on separate sides. So thank you, everyone. Sam Neider, The Room, thewrestlersroom.com. Check it out. Thank you for joining us, Sam. Have a great one.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Wow, Frank. So Sam Neider, Slam and Sammy Neider. Yeah, what did you learn that you didn't know about Sam before?
Sam, first off, my experience of Sam back then to my experience of Sam today is night and day, right? Sam scared the living hell out of me when I was a freshman, sophomore in high school, wrestling against St. Ed's. Like, to me, like, Sam was like the meanest, toughest. Like, the dude never smiled, right? Look at every one of those videos you put up there. He was like the most intense dude in the world, right?
Intensity. Yep, that's a good word.
And now he is, he's evolved, right?
Still intense. Still intense.
But we all are to some extent. We all have that way about us when we get fired up and passionate about what we're into, but for him, I think he really has a desire to serve, and he wants people to be successful. Absolutely. He wants to be successful, but he understands that for him to be successful, he has to help other people be successful first. And that's his vision with the room. So to me, he's such an intelligent guy, methodical as well, right? Like, obviously you don't go to Northwestern and do as well as he has done in life without being sharp. So super impressive. It's crazy. I would have never thought that I would be friends with a Ben Hatta or a Sam Neider, but it all comes full circle with Clash of Dynasties, linking us up and creating new brothers. Right. And, I have my group of, brotherhood that we grew up together, but now it's expanded. The circle is so much bigger now, and that's super gratifying as well. It's super, super awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, no. And one thing too, before we go is, I think like we mentioned before, the mind being sort of that last piece of the puzzle and strengthening that muscle as well. There are a lot of different sort of mindset groups that are out there that are focused on wrestling, but it seems like they're really focused on the youth and the current wrestler, where the room really focuses on the ex-wrestler, someone that's been through it and is going through life things right now, not necessarily things on the mat, things off the mat, and I think that is another piece of the puzzle. And what he mentioned too is like, let's bring them all together. Let's bring all these mindset guys together to put on something, and that's, not running from your competition or your enemies. It's embracing them and looking for new techniques and new ways to just be better, right? Surrounding yourself with champions, surrounding yourself with people of the same mindset. So it was great to have him on. It was great to, see that you guys are working together. We missed Aaron, but we'll get him back next week. But thank you for listening to another episode of the Dynasty Effect, and be sure to follow us on all our socials at Clash of Dynasties. And if you haven't yet watched the 4 episode docuseries, you can check out that at our all the platforms on iTunes, Apple, Google, YouTube. And if you need to find out any more information, you can check that out at www.clashoftdynasties.com. Thank you, Frank. It's great talking to you. And until next time, this is the Dynasty Effect podcast. Have a good one.
The story needs to be told just for the fact that it was a great time for high school sports. It really was.
You got the bad boys here and you got the good guys here. And then they went at it for 10 years.
It was a strong narrative with a good arc to it. And I think people could see that it wasn't going to be replicated anytime soon.
Look back on it.
Like, you're doing a podcast on it right now.
Like, that's how big it was, you know, and that's what I wanted to be a part of.
At the end of the day, it was trying to help kids become their best selves at a really high level. And so from that sense, it's a story that's very American.
I think that's a good way to explain it.